Managing a cocktail bar, you obviously want to have a pretty good idea of what drinks are popular, but YouTube isn't really like any bar I've worked before, so lately I've been trying to figure out just what the most popular cocktails on YouTube are. So, how did we come up with this list? Well, let's just say it's not hugely scientific, and YouTube is a fairly fluid beast at the best of times, but Josh, behind the camera, has been spying on the competition.
I don't think that's quite fair.
Sorry, he doesn't like me saying that. He's been doing research into what's popular in the YouTube cocktail making niche. Looking at the top viewed cocktails from lots of cocktail channels, and yes, I am doing cocktails here, so I'm sorry, no rainbow shots. But we landed on this list by adding up the top viewed videos across a bunch of channels, including some of our favorites. And if you're thinking this might be a blatant collab hustle, well, maybe. You see, I am supposed to be doing a Ramos Gin Fizz, but I've kind of done my elbow in, so I'm gonna need some help if anyone wants to come to my rescue. I know Truffles on the Rocks do a good one. Anyway, shall we find out what made the list? Kicking things off at number 13 is probably the single most popular drink on the Bomba rooftop in summer, so it certainly deserves a place here. Honestly, the only surprise for me is that it's not higher on the list. Steve the bartender has the top view crown for this one at the time of recording, but the Aperol Spritz also has a good showing on the underrated Muddle Muddle. Not sure if these guys are still making videos, but definitely worth checking out. It's also popular with Vlad Slick Bartender. It's a light bright version of the classic Spritz combination of bitters, sparkling wine and soda. It's a total crowd pleaser. The classic recipe, endorsed by Aperol, is 3 parts Prosecco, 2 parts Aperol and 1 part soda, 3-2-1. But at Bomba, we do like to give it a little Spanish twist, so we use Cava rather than Prosecco. By the way, we will be releasing longer individual edits of these cocktails over the next few weeks. We'll go into the histories a little more, do some masterclasses and tasting notes, so if you haven't already, then hit that subscribe button and the little bell so you never miss an episode. As always, we're gonna get our garnish ready first. So just a nice generous orange wedge and trim it down so it's nice and neat. Little olive, and then we're just gonna skewer through there and into your orange wedge. So it's 60 mils of Aperol, 90 mils of dry sparkling wine, then you need 30 mils of soda, fill with ice, try not to get it all over the bar top, give it a little stir, add in some more ice. Of course, as always, more ice the better, especially in the summertime. Then we just need a little straw. You can obviously just give it a stir with this as well if you don't have a bar spoon. Pop in your garnish, and it's good to go. The Aperol Spritz. This is a great party cocktail because it's fairly cheap, easy to prepare with just a couple of ingredients, and everybody enjoys them. These are all attributes also enjoyed by our next cocktail. It's time to move from Italy, with a nod to Spain, to Russia. Except, of course, we're not actually going to Russia. Born, in fact, in 1940s LA or potentially New York, the Moscow Mule embodies the American capitalist spirit. What a success story born of a surplus of vodka and ginger beer and large marketing budgets. Cocktail chemistry was the top view star for this drink, but I think how to drink might just have taken the lead. First, we're just gonna need to squeeze some lime juice and get our garnish ready. We go 60 mils of our vodka. It would seem remiss to use anything else here, but of course any good quality vodka will work as well. 20 mils of freshly squeezed lime juice. About 120 mils of your ginger beer. You obviously don't have to measure this, but it's always good if you're using the glass for the first time just to do it so you can kind of eyeball it. Fill with ice. Give it a little stir. I'll give it a taste first. Good. And then pop in your little lime wheel garnish. The Moscow Mule. Next on the list is a drink that I can only really sum up in one word, and that's Melbourne. Something about this town and this drink just fits. At number 11 is the Espresso Martini. A cocktail that has healthy views on almost every cocktail channel it appears on, and definitely deserves it in my opinion. Before I moved to Melbourne, I'd probably made about 3 espresso martinis in my bartending career, but now, if I'm ever on the fence as to whether or not I'm in the mood for a night out, it's my go-to arm twister. While it would certainly make sense that this drink was invented here, as the story goes, it actually owes its origins to London bartender Dick Bradsell and a certain potty-mouthed supermodel. As I was researching this, I did come across Dick Bradsell saying that his little trick is to take a little coin of lemon skin and just squeeze it over the top so that the oils will just give a really nice lemony aroma. So it doesn't have to be pretty, because obviously we're just doing a little spritz and discard. We're gonna go 45 mils of our vodka. You can definitely have a bit of fun with the vodka if you like. Lots of brands have flavored vodkas you could use. Vanilla's the obvious one. 20 mils of coffee liqueur. This is actually sold in the States now. The coffee flavor is really intense and bittersweet and delicious. 30 mils of our freshly pulled espresso. I like to add a small amount of vanilla syrup, or just regular sugar syrup is fine too. I'd suggest keeping it to about 5 if you're using something like Kahlua or Tia Maria. Fill your shaker tin with ice. Shake as hard as you can. You do really want to create a nice fluffy head, so the shake is important. You want short and sharp. Double strain. You definitely want to fine strain this one, as otherwise the little ice chips will melt and ruin the head quicker. Then we're just going to do the little lemon zest over the top. And then drop in your 3 beans for health, wealth and happiness. The Espresso Martini. Now from the ultimate kick-on drink to the ultimate pick-me-up. Next is a drink that I have to go into much more detail on in another video. It's everybody's favourite morning after saviour. Whether you're nursing a sore head or not, the Bloody Mary's combination of salty, savoury, spice, a little bit of sweet and acid is very Moorish. There's a million wild and wacky variations of it now, and we'll certainly do a full episode on this, but we're going to stay pretty classic today. There are a lot of strong showings for it on YouTube, but Mr. Tomac is way out in front, although given that it's point of view and there's a lot of motion going on there, it's maybe not the video that I'd be going for after a big night out. So first we're gonna squeeze some fresh lemon juice, and then we're gonna go for 60 mils of vodka. Really any nice clean vodka that you have is gonna be perfect. 20 mils of Worcester sauce. This is pretty Worcester heavy, I'm not gonna lie. That's how I like it. You're definitely welcome to knock it back a little bit. 15 mils of lemon juice. Your seasonings, so a good pinch or a good grind of black pepper. I'm using celery salt, especially because I don't use celery as the actual garnish. It just adds that really nice kind of vegetal note. Pinch of that. 6 dashes of Tabasco, or to taste. And finally, your tomato juice. 90 mils of tomato juice. I'm gonna do a little olive for my garnish, so I'm gonna get that skewered before we start throwing this. Now we're just gonna fill this up with ice. Use your julep strainer. Just sit it on top of the ice and make sure you're holding it in nice and firmly. And just pour into the other tin. You don't have to do it too much. You are obviously serving this on ice anyway, so it's going to continue to dilute. So it's really just to get that nice little bit of aeration in there. Get your nice chilled glass out of the fridge or freezer, depending how bad you are. You can dab it on your temples as well if you like. Fill with ice. And pour your Bloody Mary in. Then just going to grab your manzanilla. And over the back of your spoon, just pour in just about 5 or 10 mils. Pop in whatever extra garnish you're going for. So I'm gonna do a little rosemary, a little bit of thyme. Pop in your olive, because let's face it, you probably need a little salty snack at this point. The Bloody Mary. We're hitting all of the bangers here, and no top 10 list of cocktails could possibly be complete without our next drink. Often considered a tiki classic, it's actually kind of not. Coming in at number 9 on the Behind the Bar YouTube top dozen or so cocktails is the Pina Colada. It's easy to see why it makes this list. This simple but amazing combination of rum, pineapple and coconut cream is absolutely the first thing that I want in my hand when I'm on holiday. And while there are 100 if not thousands of different ways to make it, I like to keep it nice and simple. So first of all, we're gonna get our garnish ready and skewer a cherry and then into your orange wedge. Now we're gonna go 60 ml of Plantation 3-Star, 60 ml of pineapple juice, 30 ml of your Coco Lopez. Fill your shaker tin with ice and shake as hard as you can. You want a nice cold glass to stand up to the tropical heat that we're pretending that we're in here, and fill that with fresh ice. Use your Hawthorne strainer to hold the ice back and pour through the fine strainer so that we're getting rid of all the little ice chips just in case they ruin the nice creamy texture. Nice fun straw and your OTT garnish. Pina Colada. The Pina Colada is always going to be a hard act to follow, but this next drink is fancy in its own way. Number 8 on our list of YouTube's top cocktails is the Brandy Crusta. This is probably a little bit surprising, and it's on the list mainly due to one man, and that's Mr. Tomac. If you haven't checked out his channel yet, then do. It's a literal eye-opener to mixing drinks behind a bar. The garnish and the serve of this drink is really what it's all about. It's what made it a fancy cocktail to begin with. So we better make sure that we get all of that nicely prepared now. Peel as long a twist of lemon as you can and trim it down if necessary, but you should be able to get a nice long piece of lemon like this. Then we are going to take a little wedge out of the lemon to rim our glass with as well. Then grab whatever kind of fancy goblety glass you want to use and just run right around the outside with your lemon and dab in your sugar. So I like to kind of get it all over the glass. It's going to be all over your lips, even on your fingers, sort of as you're drinking it. Now we're just gonna wind the lemon peel around the inside of the glass. Then we're gonna take 60 ml of your brandy, 15 ml of our Pierre Ferrand dry curacao, a little 10 ml or even just 5 to 10 ml of maraschino, just as that little extra dimension of flavour, and 2 dashes of good old Angostura bitters. And finally is little 15 ml of lemon juice. Then fill your cocktail shaker with ice. We're just gonna do a short and sharp shake on this one. We actually don't want heaps and heaps of dilution, it's still pretty boozy. And then a double strain. I mean, how fancy does that look? The Brandy Crusta. Now from something with a long and illustrious history to something a little more modern. Although I suppose us 80s kids kind of have to accept that it wasn't exactly yesterday anymore. Coming in at number 7 is a drink that topped Steve the Bartender's solo cocktails with an impressive 1.7 million views at the time of recording. Although I can't help but wonder if it's actually the drink or the name. Now we can't always take ourselves too seriously, and made well, this drink is fruity, fun and frivolous. So let's get stuck in. We're gonna get our garnish ready. So just skewer a little cocktail cherry. We are visiting the 80s after all. Have that ready. Then we're gonna go 40 ml of vodka. Doesn't have to be anything fancy, but I'll always advocate using a good quality one where you can. 20 ml of peach schnapps or liqueur, This one's for you, Nick. 45 mils of cranberry juice, as sort of unsweetened as you can find is better. And 45 mils of fresh squeezed orange juice. Now you can with this one give it a little taste at this point and just see if it's going to need any lemon juice. You should be able to tell if it's going to be overly sweet. It's actually not too bad, but I'll probably just pop in a little 5 mil just to sharpen it up a little bit. Fill your tin with ice, pop it together and shake as hard as you can until it's all frosty. Now, when you are serving something over ice that doesn't have like a particularly creamy texture or anything, you don't really need to fine strain because the little chips don't really matter. With this one I am though, just because it is the fresh orange juice, so as you don't get any bits that could get stuck in your straw. Such a pretty color. And then we'll just pop in our garnish and you're good to go. Sex on the beach. Now, from all of the fruitiness to all of the savoury, we may already have covered the Bloody Mary, but this one is actually my personal hangover drink of choice. At number 6 is a drink that makes the list mainly due to one channel, the Barman in Red, and is closing in on 3 million views. It's actually the first time that I've ever heard of a Michelada Luna Azul, but I do know and love the Michelada. The basic bones of this drink is crisp Mexican lager, lime juice and seasoning. The Barman in Red uses blue curacao to make his Blue Moon version, and while I'm totally on board with blue drinks, I couldn't pass up the opportunity to show you the drink which has got me through many shifts after a late night. First we're gonna squeeze some lime juice, cut it in half, and then we do need a little wedge to run around to do our rim as well. So on this one I do like to do a full rim because tahin's delicious. It's basically a little bit spicy, a little bit salty, and a little bit citrusy, which is all of the flavors that we're playing with here, so it's perfect. And then we're gonna go 15 mils of a decent quality mezcal, but doesn't have to be anything fancy obviously, it's just a little spike. 15 mils of lime juice. 15 mils of Maggi or Maggi, whichever the correct way to say it is. So it's kind of almost like soy sauce. 15 mils of Worcester sauce. So about 10 mils of agave. And then about 60 mils of tomato juice. About 5 dashes of hot sauce to taste. A couple of good grinds of black pepper. Then fill with beer to about halfway. And then fill up with ice. Give it a little stir. A Michelada. Now from sunny Mexico to chilly Russia and a little bit of decadence. At 4 and 5, we actually had a tie. We're not gonna make the old-fashioned, which I certainly expected to be close to the top of this list because we've already made one in a previous episode, so you can watch that here. What we are making is a drink that surely owes its abiding popularity to the film The Big Lebowski, or more appropriately, Jeff Bridges' character, the Dude. If you know the channel How to Drink, you will know it's a firm favourite there, but it has solid views over many different channels and we've actually had lots of requests for it here as well. So we're going to start with 30 mils of vodka, 20 mils of the old faithful Kahlua, about 10 mils of Brookies macadamia liqueur. Now at this point you can just add the cream too. I'm going to try and do a little bit of a fancy layered effect. So we'll just pop in the ice. You can obviously measure this. I'm just going to eyeball about 30 mils of the cream. A little bit more than 30 mils, but we're being indulgent and I just wanted it to form a nice layer on top of all the liqueurs there. And then a little grate of nutmeg over the top. And there you have it. Creamy and indulgent White Russian. So if the White Russian is what's keeping you warm on cold winter nights, then what's cooling you down in the heat? You guessed it, it's everybody's favorite summer drink. Number 3 is another of our one channel wonders. The Tipsy's Bartender is the biggest bartending channel I've come across on YouTube and heaps of fun, but honestly it's not really my style of cocktails. So while their Galaxy cocktail has racked up over 4 million views on their channel, it's not a cocktail that I've ever made before and honestly not something I'm probably ever going to make again. So it felt a little bit unauthentic for me to show you how to do it. So there's a link below if you want to give it a go. Instead, I want to offer a disclaimer of sorts. You may be wondering why so many classic cocktails haven't made it. Honestly, so was I. So maybe partially to do with the way YouTube serves us videos, and it's also perhaps to do with the fact that we were looking for popular and high view videos rather than cocktails with lots of views across lots of videos, if that makes sense. So something like the Brandy Crusta makes our list over a whiskey sour, which would probably have far more total views if you added up all of the views from all of the whiskey sour videos on all of YouTube. Also, as I mentioned up front, we tended to stick to the cocktail and bar community, so celebrities or chefs or celebrity chefs, and also kind of how-to channels that have made popular cocktail videos may have slipped through our net. I just thought I'd clarify that so that people don't get too upset if their favourites don't make it. I certainly think that the Negroni, the whiskey sour, a classic martini should be here, so should a margarita. But if you are after a list of classic cocktails, I'll link to a playlist of ours below. Also, I have noticed that between first researching and then writing these, new videos have been added and view counts have gone up. Well, honestly, I didn't notice that, but Josh did. So that may have already skewed the numbers. Nonetheless, it's a fun exercise and it's given me a chance to make some cocktails that you and others are clearly very interested in. So, without further ado, let's see what made number 2 on the list. Runner-up, or penultimate, on our list of the most popular YouTube cocktails is one that us bartenders love to hate, mainly due to the well-documented effect that as soon as you send one out, 10 more get ordered. And with millions of views across many cocktail channels, it's clearly not just popular in bars. So I do prefer just to do some fresh squeezed lime. So we're just gonna get some ice wrapped in a tea towel and then just give it a whack. So keep your fingers out the way. Now just pick off about 5 or 6 mint leaves, should be plenty, and make sure you leave yourself the sprigs for your garnish. Give them a little clap and pop them in. Then we're gonna go 60 mils of Bacardi, 20 mils of your fresh lime juice, 20 mils of sugar syrup. Then we're just going to scoop some ice in there. Give it a bit of a turn through. Then add some more. Then just use a bar napkin and kind of cover, and that way the ice isn't going to spill out as you turn it through. Just like to cap it off with a little bit more crushed ice so it's as refreshing looking as possible. Tiny little dash of soda water. Get your mint sprig, you know, and half of the flavor that you get from the mint is actually what's going up your nostrils. So make sure it gets right in there. I should probably taste it first actually before I give it to anyone. Delicious. Mojito. Look, I have to be honest, I've made quite a few of these in my time, but I absolutely did not expect it to be our number 1, nor that it would be so clearly the winner on this list. I guess on reflection, the amount that I've pumped out some Saturday nights, I should have seen it coming. With a very impressive 6.5 million views and counting, the Long Island iced tea has clocked up big views across many channels. So How to Drink, Mr. Tomac, and Steve the Bartender, all in the millions. It's a clear winner, so we better not let you down. So we're gonna get our garnish ready first. A little lemon wheel and cherry seemed fitting. Pop through the cherry and back through the wheel and squeeze some lemon juice. This is also where a stepped jigger really comes into its own. We're gonna go 15 mils of gin, 15 mils of white rum, 15 mils of tequila, maybe a little bit extra tequila because why not? 15 mils of vodka. The easiest way to remember if you're bartending is it's just all the white spirits in your speed rail. Then we have 15 mils of triple sec, 15 mils of cane sugar syrup, and 30 mils of lemon juice. Now we're gonna use Coca-Cola, and we're talking about kind of 45 to 60 mils. This is a pretty big glass, so I'm gonna go about 60. Then fill with ice, and fill your shaker tin with ice. Pop your tins together, check that it's sealed, and shake as hard as you can. And that cascahen's delicious. And then if you just pour gently, you don't really have to double strain because it's just going on ice anyway and the chips aren't going to make much of a difference to this. Long Island iced tea. So now you know. If you like this video, hit that subscribe button because we've got new ones out every Monday night or Tuesday morning depending where you're at. We've tried to time it for our hospital friends around the globe. Hopefully soon we'll be up to Thursday night, Friday morning as well. But for the moment, those are an occasional bonus and all the more reason to hit that little bell so you'll get notified whenever a new video comes out.